Alright, this is the business law reaction video. Um, the video it starts off talking about how they think crime from the perpetrator's perspective rather than the victim's perspective, which I think is something that a lot of people don't do anymore. It's more of like oh, they got hit or someone said something to them, they're offended, blah, blah, blah. And I don't think people understand both sides. I think they just take the victim's side more. So I think the um, view from the perpetrator's perspective is something that is needed. And I like how he takes that approach towards it. Then he continues on to talk about hurting someone is never the intent in a white collar crime. It's a very selfish crime. Based on how they talked about it in the video, from the whole hour of the video, from what I got is people don't care about what happens to other people if they're not directly involved with them. They use an example, I think, which is like the power went out or something like that. They shut the power down in California on a 110-degree day, and people did die because of heat stroke or whatever, and no one cared. There was no remorse for it because they didn't really know them. No one they cared about died or whatever, so they were just like, whatever. Actions can be unethical but still remain legal. We talked about that earlier in the year. I forget which chapter it was, but we did talk about how actions can be unethical but still remain legal, which they talked about this in the video, is how regulations are put in place. It might be legal to do in a world, but people might look down on it, or it's like frowned upon in a workplace, which is why people will put regulations on things in the workplace. They talked about Scott London, who is a senior partner at KPMG, has 550 employees, 50 partners, and $900,000 per year. And he threw it all away to do some stupid stuff, which they said it was a relatively easy case for the FBI. Like, I think the guy that was talking he said it was like a walk in the park for them. They could have done it in one afternoon. It was that easy. It was that simple of a case to work on because they didn't really cover it up because they don't think that they're going to get caught. Which brings me to my next point. People don't perceive that when they do shady things, they will get caught. At some point in time, you will get caught. For example, the Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belfort, did a lot of illegal stuff to make money. He got the money, but he did get caught. And he never thought he would, but he slipped up over time and he got caught. Many executives do not show remorse for their actions, which I said earlier. If it doesn't affect them directly, then they don't really care. Like, if it does not affect the executives personally, they do not really care that others were involved. If people die on their hand, if people lose their jobs, they don't care as long as they're okay. Steve Garfinkel was another example, would routinely sign false contracts. And he didn't think of it as lying because it was just like, whatever, I'm signing a contract, doesn't matter. It's just paper, I'm just writing on paper. But he couldn't lie to the person face to face when they confronted him about it. They asked him, hey, this isn't an actual contract or whatever, and he was like, oh shoot, yeah, you're right, I'm signing false contracts. People can lie left and right when they are not close to the victim. So cool, okay, what's meant by that is if I'm not close to someone, or like if someone's not by me, or I'm behind like a computer or something like that, I can lie, I can talk anything I want, I can do whatever I want. But the second I'm by that person or by someone else, I can't lie, I can't do whatever shady action I was doing. Two employees at Capital One Bank took data to see if there's a correlation with buying tendencies. I thoroughly enjoyed this story. I thought it was awesome. I wouldn't do it, but I thought it was awesome. They took the information to the stock market and quickly made hundreds of thousands of dollars, but it was illicit money. They did it illegally, but if they were doing it on Capital One's behalf, then everything would have been okay, because that would have been using data that Capital One had, and they would have been buying shares for the company. Or if they did it for another company that was a competitor, that would have been okay. But since they did it on their own time by themselves, it was illicit. People think they're doing ethical things like helping a friend or something like that, but end up committing unethical actions. Like, it starts off awesome, like, oh hey, I'm gonna make money to take care of someone, or some random example like that, but it never goes their way. It always ends up something shady, like, hey, I'm gonna do it like a drug dealer or a drug bust or something like that, and will cause people to do some jail time because they do some stuff to get money easy and fast. It is the gut feeling that tells us that the actions we're committing are unethical or just wrong in general. So if someone says, hey, sign these contracts, and you know they're false contracts that won't do anything or like will get you in trouble or something like that, and your gut's telling you not to do it, it's more than likely wrong, and you probably shouldn't do it. They ended the video talking about how to avoid these corporate crimes, and he said we don't have a lot of humility. Like, the older we get, the less we try to humble ourselves, I think is what he said. Develop systems where you think your weaknesses might lie, and identify our weaknesses and create automatic checks and balances ahead of time to make sure that you are staying in the lines, and identify future problems you might face, which, like, if you see that something down the road is going to happen or could potentially happen, set something up, make sure that your weaknesses are covered so that you won't cave in and commit a crime and face jail time because you decided to make a dumb decision that can just get you money quick and easy.